Hello, my name is Caitlin McCarthy, and for my poem recitation, I chose to research and recite the poem Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. I chose this poem because I feel as though we can relate to it in some way during this time. The poem Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn-bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams, his shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. A little information about the author before we jump into talking about the poem. Maya Angelou was born in St. Louis, Missouri, and is most famous for her writings of 6 autobiographies and poetry. She was also a big civil rights activist who worked especially for Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Angelou was awarded over 50 honorary awards, which included the National Medal of Arts by Bill Clinton received in the year 2000, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama in 2010. She was also very known for her most famous autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, which was published in 1969. This book takes place during her younger years and describes a significant event that happened in her life as a child, how it affected her, and how it shaped her so she could find her love for poetry. It even discusses the struggles of being a young Black poet and writer, especially the struggles of society and her skin color. Even when she was writing, she still had time to pursue her career in film and television. Her first screenplay was Georgia, Georgia in 1972, which also happened to be the first one ever written by a Black woman. Angelou was also nominated for an Emmy in 1979 for her performance in Roots, a television drama show. One of her most momentous experiences was when she was invited to write and read the inaugural poem for President Bill Clinton in the early 1990s. She continued writing in the 90s, more specifically children's books, and soon passed away in 2014. On to the poem. Maya Angelou's poem Caged Bird is based off of her most famous autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Overall, the poem discusses deep issues of freedom and the discrimination African Americans face. But when we analyze each stanza, we can see the differences between freedom and restriction. You can tell in the first stanza, Angelou is talking about freedom and how a bird is supposed to be in their natural habitat. Then in the second stanza, you can tell the change in tone and how the reading almost becomes dark. There is an obvious comparison between the two birds and how happy the free bird is and how restricted the caged bird is. The third stanza quickly shifts back to the first stanza and repeats the freedom of the free bird. The first stanza reveals the discrimination and racism that is made up the cage that the caged bird is in, and even though she sings, her voice is not always heard. Angelou keeps bringing up the fact that this bird keeps opening its mouth to sing, trying to explain to her audience that the bird desires for freedom and desires to express himself. The sixth stanza reverts back to the free bird. Angelou describes how This bird sings a fearful trill, meaning he is too longing for freedom. This cry for freedom is referring to equality for everyone.